Thank you for joining us again today with Pursuit of Purpose. I'm Rob.
I'm Chuck.
And this today is our special guest,
Ethan. Nice to meet you. Ethan Osborne.
Well, we've got Ethan with us today because he is a perfect example of personal reinvention and a special type of success. I'll tell you what, though, Ethan, before we get started, if you don't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Was born in Louisiana, raised in Texas, so kind of frequenting both sides of the river here. And
so you're a foreigner, first of all.
Well, I think aren't we all at some point?
Right.
I play music for a living, among other things. I do a lot of different things to acquire money. So, but the most fulfilling one I would say would be music. That's always been my passion. Cool. So, grew up around this area for a long time. Been in and out of Golden Triangle. I went to school in Orangefield, Lumberton, Beaumont, graduated school from Lufkin. So I've been around this area a long time, and I love it here. Beaumont's not bad. It is what you make it. So,
well, you said music. I mean, Beaumont is like one of the music capitals of America. I mean, we produce, naturally so many artists. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. You're in an area with an enormous musical heritage.
Yeah, it's like a little New Orleans over here in a sense, I guess.
Something like that. I mean,
go back to the 30s, 40s, 50s, and then all the way up to 80s, 90s, and here you are.
Yeah.
Some of the biggest names in country, rock, blues, just all kinds of stuff from right here.
Saturated down here with it. There's a lot of it.
So with that in mind, and we're going to talk about your childhood and things like that, but with that in mind, how do you think that plays an effect on your musical career? Do you think it helps or do you think it hurts? What do you think that does to you?
Well, I think anytime you're getting to play a lot, I don't think that can hurt, no matter where you are,
But as far as the effect of being a place where legacies come from.
Oh, right.
Is that intimidating to you?
I wouldn't say it's intimidating. If anything, it kind of empowers me more.
Very good.
And that I'm coming from a place where a lot of other prominent musicians have come from. So I think if anything, that pushes me to hold myself to a better standard. So
that's great.
It is.
That's really great. So, how has anybody compared you to any other artists? Complimentary or otherwise?
That's kind of some muddy waters there, because you have my fan base and I have my friends who like me, and that number grows quite regularly. So when one person who sees me all the time says that they like me more than so-and-so, I think that's just a matter of subjection there. It's just what they think, what they believe. But there is comparison to others in this area. I won't state names or anything like that, or
you don't have to
be in a negative kind of way or anything, because it's all positivity when you're doing music. But I would say that I do hear that, there's comparison a lot, but that's all, like I say, it's to the individual who the way they listen, what they enjoy, so.
Well, let me ask you a different way.
There we go.
You've been listening to music your whole life, probably much like myself. Are there any artists that have influenced you more than others? Or are there any that you want to be like?
Locally or just,
at all?
Just
in general, yeah, man.
I grew up listening to a lot. I grew up in that 90s country era there, so I grew up listening to George Strait, and Tracy Byrd, and, Mark Chestnut and guys like that from around here, just to state some local guys, name some local guys. But
Clay
I guess
Walker.
Exactly. As I got older, though, I started listening to Whiskey Myers was a big kind of thing I listened to that got me into it. But at a younger age, I would say I listened to a lot of ZZ Top, Stevie Ray Vaughan, guys like that, and
local legends.
Exactly. BB King, older bluesy stuff like that. I grew up listening to that on a cassette tape in my dad's, 92 Ford. So
nice. For that younger audience out there, that's what us from the last century used to listen to music on, It's this strange little square device with a black magnetic film in it that held information. That's how we listened to music in our vehicles back in the day.
You got to be a bit of a multi-centurion, though.
Right.
If you're a single centurion, you're not going to get it. But email us and we'll tell you all about it.
We might send it back in stone tablet, but whatever.
I miss those days, man. Music was different then.
That's no joke.
I don't, then it went to CDs. And even then, I mean, back when I was in high school, middle school, high school, we burned CDs, and that's like a form of friendship there. Like, hey, if I liked you, you liked me, like we'd burn a CD and the songs would be wrote on there.
Mix, man.
Yeah, like, hey, check this out, man.
Yeah.
Bump this, and that was back before you had a lot of just streaming platforms where you could listen to anything at any given moment. You had to have the CD, or then it went to, I guess, iPods, and you could start doing stuff like that. But man, those were the days,
Yeah. So do you find that a bit of a challenge with all these evolving platforms to get your art out there? I mean, to keep up with those. I know even Rob and I, as just interviewers, there's tech way beyond that would have been just 20 years ago.
Absolutely.
So I don't know what challenges that may be for you.
It is a challenging thing, but I think mostly, or if I'm going to say anything that I would say impactful, as much as it has, I would say that it's stolen away from artists in a way where, used to, you had to you had to have a CD, you had to make a mixtape, you had to have all these different things. You couldn't just put it on out there. Somebody had to buy your CD, which now people still buy music, but it's you put it out there on Spotify or YouTube or something, and you're hoping for the streams. I just feel like it takes away a little bit of the impact maybe some people try to portray through their music, or what the message they're trying to send. Now it's just like, it's numbers, it's just pumping out streams, and it doesn't pay much, honestly.
And the crazy thing is now with the technological advances with AI and all this stuff, man, music, you don't even know what's real anymore. You don't even know if it's a human being on the other end, singing, or if it's a computer generating a song.
Yeah, and it's crazy how good they're getting too, because you just pump in a couple ideas. Hey, I want it to feel this way, and I want it to sound that way, and I want it to have these kind of words in it. And
oh wow!
Now you got a song. My cousin does that a lot, actually. He'll write songs on AI all the time, and he loves it. He gets a kick out of it. And it's pretty neat. It's interesting, and honestly, I would say for struggling writers, I could see how it could be a really good tool to transform something of your own into something with more than you could come up with out of your own head, I guess, out of your own brain. But
it's never going to have the heart, though.
No, it'll lack, and I think people will be able to identify what is organic and what is not. So,
I can remember back in, say, like just the 80s, and all we really had were radios and the cassettes that you mentioned. And so if you were an artist that weren't in with the big names, if you will, that because they were pumping the radio stations all the time, everybody else was organic. Right. I can remember getting bootlegged cassettes from people who went to concerts and saw people, and these are names that now are on every commercial. Guns N' Roses. It was a bootleg Guns N' Roses live from LA, and it just made its way across the country. And like, wow, all the way here to Texas. But there was just more of an organic feel back then. You're like, man, you got to listen to these guys. And then of course, it all blew up after that. And that's just one example of a lot of music, the way we used to get it.
Right. It was a different form of listening.
For sure.
You really took that stuff in. I feel like now, if you don't like something, it's so easy just to go to the next, go to the next, go to the next, go to the next. And you'll have somebody from one side of the world to the other side of the world that you're switching through. And back then you had it on a tape and you got it physically from somebody who acquired it. And you're like, holy cow, I've got this. And kind of to use that as an example, as guitar teachers I've worked with, the older ones are like, we didn't have YouTube, we sat in front of a TV or whatever recording clip they could get, and they watched their fingers and their hands and how they made these things possible. And now it's like we're so much more connected that I feel like it's almost like we're unconnected. But,
yes, that's very profound. Mm-hmm. So interestingly enough, you believe that the advances sort of detract from the career as an artist, but at the same time, it sounds like you said it gives you some advantages in that your music can reach so far so fast where it couldn't before.
Right.
Like, that's crazy.
Yeah. And that's when you start getting into algorithms and how you're putting it out there. One little small thing, for instance, if you cut a video for something and you're wearing a certain thing versus wearing something else, which I guess that's with anything in media or entertainment.
In the public eye.
Yeah, anytime people are watching you, you're judged, you're stripped down on the way you look, but not by everybody.
Right.
But I mean, that's a general kind of thing. I feel like how people make you feel off of appearance, the way they talk and stuff. So it's kind of it's a new world out here. We're all trying to navigate. I mean, look at us. We're doing a podcast right now.
That's right.
On a Monday. So I would have never have thought about that back in the 90s. I guess,
not at all.
So, not that I was around long in the 90s. I was only there a little while. So.
Well, I can tell you that as someone who lived through the entire decade, yes, you wouldn't have thought about this back then.
No.
So tell us about your childhood. What was it like growing up? What was your home like? What was discipline like? All that stuff.
Man, I don't know if I'd say it's strange, but I've lived a couple different kinds of a childhood. I had my father lived in Orangefield. We had a farm, and he raised horses, and they race horses now. They breed race horses, and so I lived in Beaumont with my mother and my stepfather, who was an airborne ranger.
Oh wow!
And we had a pretty strict household, as far as
discipline.
Yes, as far as discipline went, it was real strict in our house there, and we had weekly room inspections. And
so describe discipline. Did you get a whooping?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of them grab the ankles and prepare yourself kind of situation.
Oh yeah.
I got paddled a lot. I don't I hope it helped me, but I don't really know.
I can relate.
Yeah. So but when I wasn't in Beaumont, I was out in Orangefield, on the farm. We would ride four-wheelers and horses. We went to rodeos, did barrels, poles, rode calves, steers, stuff like that. And I did that for a while until I got stepped on. I was like, hey, can we get a four-wheeler? Instead of I don't think I want to ride these steers anymore. And that went on for a while, and I really am thankful for getting to live that kind of life. I was in the FFA. I was the sentinel in the FFA, and we did competitions around Texas where we would, and some in Southwest Louisiana. I think we went to McNeese a couple times, and we did equine judging, livestock judging, poultry judging. We did a couple of like household do-it-yourself projects where we repair like drywall and fix plumbing and stuff, just to show how it was done. I think living in Beaumont back then was different than it is now. I feel like, it was the 90s, so everything was different. Then I feel like you actually ordered off of a menu, your phone.
Yeah.
But I love living here in Beaumont, honestly. And we'd go down to the beach, we'd go to the lake. I think that's what's so great about being right here is you're half an hour to an hour away from a bunch of cool different things. You can be over in Louisiana, or you can be down in Houston or Conroe or Sam Rayburn or Crystal Beach, Galveston. And I think it was great growing up down here.
Yeah, pretty much whatever you want. Just a short drive away and you're there.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. It also sounds like you actually lived the country life. You don't just sing country music. You lived it.
I mean, FFA and all, man.
Yeah. Riding steers.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. I mean, I used to drive our tractor around the neighborhood to go mow places, and that was something I really liked then, which is kind of funny because a lot of people don't know this, but Robert and I used to work together, and he was my mentor for a while, and I think the way I grew up helped me succeed so well working for you because I had already ran a tractor and worked on a lawnmower and a weed eater and ran a chainsaw and done all these kind of things a lot of people I've met in my life haven't experienced.
Right.
So when I came to work for you, it was like, oh shit, I feel like I'm hanging out at the house with my dad right now. We're just working, So I think it's given me an advantage in a lot of areas. But I will say, growing up that way, I didn't really immerse myself in technology so much. So now that I'm 30 years old and there's more technology, there's more media, there's stuff where you're having to know how to, for instance, like not only do I sing, I have to do graphic designing, I have to learn how to advertise, I've had to learn how to promote myself, all solely through myself, and not knowing how to do any of that. I wish I would have paid attention more at a younger age into technology versus, oh, I don't need that. I'm country. I work. I'm a hardworking guy. I don't need to know all that kind of stuff. So I will say it's been a help, and I can see how it's been a hindrance not being more immersed in technology. But
Well, I think that currently you're our youngest guest on this show.
Huh.
Yeah.
I think so.
Except for our one foreign exchange student.
That's right. We did. That's right. We have had two. We've had two. Jillian Fontenot that has the face painting and stuff. And then the foreign exchange student.
Yeah.
They were both younger,
so
but
you're down there pretty good.
How's it feel to be in the sitting here with somebody so young?
I love it. I'm really proud of you. I'm proud of your journey, and
Yes.
I look forward to seeing the things that you create from your life and in your life.
Yeah.
And
I feel very fortunate to have a timestamp on that, man. That's good stuff.
Pretty neat. This is going to be nice to look back on. And
there you go.
so I'm just curious, how did you wind up in music?
It's kind of funny. Picked a guitar up one day, and I was like, man, I like doing this. And I was awful. Thought, I didn't know what I
think you're supposed to be awful when you first touch one.
Right. Yeah, I don't know who's probably great when they pick one up.
I bet it's
maybe Jimi Hendrix or
Stevie Ray Vaughan probably sucked when he touched it for the first time.
I don't know if that's, I doubt that.
It's hard to believe, but
Yes, ask Jimmy.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
I started playing for fun, and I loved it. And my friends were like, man, you got a great voice. You should keep trying. You should keep working. And started playing at people's houses just for fun with other friends who had guitars. And I remember sitting in a buddy's shop one day. We were eating some oysters. They were broiling oysters, and I was sitting there playing some songs. And man, we had a couple beers. We were all hanging out. It was just a nice, relaxing moment. And man, I'm playing songs, and then several of them were like, man, you should go play live for people. And I'm like, I don't know. And I came back again. We were playing some more, and then the same thing. Everybody keeps saying the same thing. Man, you should really play live. You should go try to make money doing this. And I didn't know how much that would transform what I was doing. Before it was fun, which is still fun, don't get me wrong, but it changed into a career, which I'm thankful for, very blessed. And I would say that just something that started out as fun and wholesome for me to give me what I wanted as far as emotional impact. It made me happy. I felt good. I got my first show in Henderson, Texas. I figured if I went way up there and played where nobody knew me, it wouldn't be so bad. Or nervous, So right. I met a guy up there, Blake Evans, who had been playing for years. He plays a lot up there, a couple of different bands and stuff. And I met him through my sister who was working up there. She got me the gig, and he let me borrow his PA system and his microphone and all the things I needed. I just brought a guitar.
Nice.
And he had everything else, and he set it all up for me. And he was like, here you go, man. And I think I had like 25, I say 25 loosely. It's more like 20 songs that I could play. I mean, I'm not by memory. I think I had like 3 by memory, but I remember going there nervous, like, okay, I got these 25 songs. So my goal was to make it through the 3 hours with that many songs, which is, you really can't do.
That's a long time to play
that many songs. So what I did is I played them longer than I was supposed to. And
drag them out.
And then I just start talking to people, and I just made it like
work the crowd.
Yeah, I just made it like fun, and it helped that I had a table of 15 people there. I had 5 people drive up from Beaumont with me to watch. So it wasn't like I was in a room with a bunch of people I didn't know.
Yeah.
I had brought my own friends. So
you brought your support system.
So that's kind of how it all started. I played my first show there at Tia Juanita's. And I remember walking in and seeing the marquee with my name on it. And I was like, holy, this is real. This is crazy, And to some, I'm sure for a novice like me at the time, seeing my name on something and then playing somewhere, I was like, man, I'm doing something. This is crazy, right? And now I've done that like 400 times since. So it's like as you do this, you progress. I mean, I guess that would be every musician's dream, is to progress through this and get on bigger stages, more higher profile, be viewed in a higher profile kind of situation. And it all started in a little restaurant where I left town to go play there. It went great. They booked me 2 more times. They went ahead and booked it right then. They said, we're going to bring you back, next month and the next month. You can come back and play. And I came home from there with like, okay, I got my 25 songs, and I started adding more and more. I think I'm up to probably 100 or so now. I can do.
You can play a full set now.
Yeah, definitely. I can do a 3-hour, 4-hour. With some 4-hour shows are hard on you, which has helped incorporating other musicians to kind of carry the load, which that's been the coolest part, is playing with other people. That's been like, wow, I really don't know anything now that I'm playing with, when you play with people with tenure, around town here, play with a lot of guys who've been playing for 20 plus years, and oh, okay, I need to work on that. They're doing this right, I'm doing this wrong. But they're never, that's one thing I've learned from a lot of musicians, is they're not in the game of so much telling you what you're doing wrong. They're just trying to show you what you could do right. So I think that's such a cool thing with music.
So they coach you. That's really cool.
Yeah.
If they're a good musician, which I don't think I've met many bad ones around here, they will try to help you be better. And I think that's what it's all about, because we all want to hear something good, not
Absolutely.
something bad. So
how much more do you want to hear something good coming out of you? I mean,
exactly.
You want it to be the best it can be.
Hell, sometimes I think it's all bad. So I'm my own worst critic half the time.
It's not hard to be. Yeah, our own worst critic for sure.
I think you play guitar too a little bit, don't you?
I've touched one a time or two.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a player. I can make noise with it.
You would play it, don't play. Play it, don't play. What about you? You play any instruments?
I sing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Sing in church, sing behind a few microphones. So.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. We have to do a little duo one day or something.
I'd love
Get you to harmonize with me.
I sure would.
Or vice versa.
Yeah.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So,
thank you.
Yeah.
Do you have a like a goal in mind? Like, if I get to play here, then I know I've made it. Do you have anything like that in your head?
It's funny you say that. Well, I mean, do I have goals? Do I have a goal of being somewhere? My goal right now, like the biggest goal I could say I would have right now, I would love to open for like Whiskey Myers or somebody like that. That'd be huge. Or maybe like Turnpike Troubadours or somebody like that. That'd be cool to open for one of those kind of guys or bands. But when getting back to goals, like where maybe I was hoping to play, I remember when I first started, I went and watched people live play at Thirsties, which is a little bar here in Beaumont, and they have a fish tank behind which it's a small little area. I mean, no bigger than right here where they fit everything in, and there's a fish tank behind you. And I was like, man, I want to play in front of that fish tank one day, I'm like, and I remember I finally got a gig there. It was a Saturday night. It's like a late one. It's like from 9 to 1 in the morning.
Ooh.
So I get there and I set my stuff up and I play my show, and it was cool. And we had a good time. Had a lot of people come out, and it went really well. And when I stepped away from there that night, I was like, I made it.
Yeah.
I have made it. I played in front of the fish tank.
Yes.
I thought that's when I was like, I've done it. All I need to do. I don't need to go any further. That's how I felt at the time.
Pork in me, I'm finished.
I
made
reached my pinnacle.
I made it.
That's hilarious.
And I'll never forget that. And I've watched videos and podcasts of some other bigger name people, and they'll say, man, I miss the days when I was just playing with my guitar in places. And I'm sure I'll feel that way too. But right now it's just growth, man. I started out in Henderson at the Tias, and I've played a lot of bigger stuff now. I say bigger, but I've played in front of, I think the most people, probably 500-600 people, which that's
pretty good crowd.
That was pretty cool. I think the first time I played in front of a lot of people was at Corville's. I got to open for Jason Eady, and that's a listening room. So I went in there, and they have all their own sound equipment. And I set up, and I played my set, and everybody in there, nobody's talking. It's quiet. And there's 300 people staring at you, and you can hear a pin drop. And I was like, oh my God, I was sweating, man. So I think I fumbled on a couple, but I saved it without quitting. And I mean, I got a lot of applause. I mean, standing applause, and that made me feel so good. And I actually met a guy there the first night I played. He was a local songwriter, musician. You may have heard of him, but his name's Ken Treese.
Okay.
And Ken, actually, I met him that night, and he came up to me. He's like, man, I just want to let you know that you have one of the most powerful voices I've heard in a long time. And he was like, and I really love what you're doing and the way you sound. And I didn't know at that moment that guy would end up being my buddy, but because I was still on, I was on a cloud.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, I just opened for, somebody who I respected, who I thought was a great musician. So I was so honored to be there first of all. And then when this guy came up to me, a complete stranger, and shook my hand and told me that. And another guy walked up, and he had the set list for the night, and he wanted my signature on it for Jason Eady. I was like, nobody's ever asked me for my signature unless I was getting a loan, unless they wanted me to pay them money. So when this guy asked me for my signature on there, and this other guy told me how much he loved my voice,
that's not your signature. That's an autograph.
Right.
Autograph.
So I was like, wow, this is incredible. And I never thought I'd run into that Ken guy again. And then months down the road, we run into each other again. We end up becoming friends, find out we have a lot in common. And he ended up funding my first song. And he hooked me up with a studio in Nashville. John Kennedy runs it. And we sent him my song. And Ken financially backed the whole thing, paid for the song. And now I have a song out. And I met all through a random guy I met at Corville's in Beaumont, Texas on Highway 90. It's like, and now we're buddies. We talk every week. And I'm actually on my album, I've got an EP I'm going to release here soon with 3 songs on it. When I do the album, I'm going to cut one of Ken's songs on there, maybe a couple. Nice. He's got probably 60, 70 songs wrote right now. And a lot of them are very patriotic songs. I think you would like a lot of them. You have to check them out. Ken Treese.
Very good.
Treece.
So you mentioned you've released a single.
Yes, sir.
Where will our guests find that?
Spotify, YouTube, Apple Music.
They just put in your name, Ethan Osborne, and it pulls it up.
Yep.
What's the name of the song?
Saved Me. Not Save Me like Jelly Roll, but it's got the D on the end there. Saved Me. I knew you were gonna. Anyway, so it's been out for, I don't know, 3 or 4 months now. I don't know what I'm doing.
How's the response with it?
I mean, most people like it, I guess. It's kind of hard when I don't know I'm still learning what to do. So as far as getting it out there, I haven't spent any money to advertise for it. I just kind of put it out there. We've been watching it organically. And I think on Spotify right now, it's only up to like 4,000 streams or something. But I posted a video of it on Facebook, and I think we got about 70,000 views on it. For me, that's the biggest thing I ever had show up. I mean, I've got people from all across the country commenting, oh my God, we love this. We love this. When is it going to come out? And that was just a rough video in a backyard with a 3-piece band at a Halloween party, and it got 70,000 views. I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. Considering everything before that was like 2,000 or 2,500. I hate that we have to put a number of streams on things, that kind of kills it for me.
Yeah. I mean, at some point there is a business side, and you got to measure it somehow, but by and large, as long as you do what you're doing, which is just staying with the art, it's going to work itself out.
I hope so.
When you get a platinum album, you're going to want to know the number of things on that album. I promise you.
That's right.
Hey, that's the goal. As long as what I do, people enjoy it. I don't want to hurt anybody. So that's my whole thing. I want to be happy, and I want to enjoy myself and hope that what I'm doing can inspire other people to enjoy themselves through music. So,
well, your joy of it definitely probably is coming through. Obviously, 75,000. They can see that you loving what you're doing.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's funny because I guess next week will be the 1 year anniversary since we posted that video out. In the house that I played the private party out, they hired us again to play again this year. So in Lumberton, so that'll be pretty cool.
Well, that is awesome.
Definitely a testament of some things I share sometimes, which is if we just methodically keep moving, we make moments. And that was your moment.
Yeah.
You know,
It's just
the right guy at the right venue at the right time. You
Right.
know, and who knows?
I guess that's what they say, who you know, not what you know kind of situation too. You know? But
at some point for sure. You know?
yeah, I think something like that happened with Jason Aldean when he was coming up. He was playing bars, and I think, then I could be wrong. I'm quoting somebody else who told me this, so I could be totally wrong. But from what I understand,
Jason, come on here and straighten this out. You know, if there's any part of this that's not right, we'd love to talk to you about it.
Come fix it.
Yeah, he was playing in bars, and he was getting tired, getting burned out on it, and he told his mom, he said, "This is the last time I'm doing this. Is the last one I'm going to do, and I'm going to hang this up." And
wow,
that night somebody saw him, and then the dots got connected somehow, and boom, he moved on into a very successful career,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a weird thing to say, successful, because right now I'm successful. So I would say, I mean, I make money, I make a living doing this, and I'm happy. So that's success at the end of the day. I guess it just depends on what level of success you're trying to achieve. And I'm trying to get the highest level of success I can.
What's your least favorite thing about what you do?
Never really thought about it that way. Having to deal with the social media side of things, the graphic designing, it's
the non-music part of it.
Yeah, getting up there and singing the songs. I love doing that. That's fun. But and I like the interaction with the audience. I like meeting people. I like talking to people. I love all this. This is cool. I enjoy this, but having to actually worry and think about what would make me go further, that's what I don't like. You know, like I need to be doing this, or I need to be doing that, or I need to worry about the smallest little thing I'm saying. And that's what I don't like. You know, I'd like to, that's probably my least favorite, I would say.
It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah. The music part, that's great. That's fun. Mm-hmm. It's everything else. You got to uphold an image. You can't, well, I guess you can do whatever you want, but at the end of the day,
if you want to be successful, you got to pay attention.
You got to pay attention to what you're doing and who you might impact with the words you might use. So,
do you think that's a confidence thing too? Because I know as a counselor, when I sat in my first offices and there's somebody sitting across from me, and that terrible pressure that this person's about to put all of their despair in my hands. What am I going to do with this? You know, I was scared to death. Now, I mean, I put on a good mask. They didn't know it. But I know when I left, I felt it. And so maybe some of the media stuff, which I don't fully understand either, thank goodness for Rob, he gets it better than I do, is it intimidates me. I don't like it. You know, I mean, I'm embracing it more as I go, but I think it's really it's just an ignorance factor. I don't fully understand it.
I think I'm in the same kind of headspace as you as far as not understanding it, but here recently I've kind of started to understand that you can go two ways. Well, I'm sure you can go more than two ways, but two ways I see you can go is you can either not care or you can care about what people think about you. So if you don't care what they think about you, I've seen people who don't care what people think about them rise to the top and have nothing against them. Whereas other people who do care, they're constantly in fear that they're going to rub somebody the wrong way. And I think it just holds back the potential that they have. Yeah. And that's something I'm learning about myself too.
Okay. And I think I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to interpret what you just said. It's a fascinating dynamic internally what we do. And the people that operate from a place of worrying about what other people think, it seems to me like those people operate from a place of lack, from a place of fear. But the people who quit caring so much about what the other people think they're not worried because they operate from a place of internal abundance. So they're confident that it doesn't matter. There's nothing anyone can take away from them because no one gave it to them in the first place. They have it.
Right.
So that's why inevitably they make it because people are attracted to those who operate from a place of abundance.
Right. And I think it's so crazy how much different ways we can look at things. Right. And I've seen some people like that. They don't know what hurt they are causing somebody if they are. And in a lot of cases that happens.
Yeah.
But if you're free of any guilt or any, what would be the right word here? If you're
shame, guilt.
Yeah. If you're free of shame, the horizon's pretty clear, I would assume. I mean, you don't have anything held over you. So,
well, the number one fear that's out there is the fear of losing, whatever it is, friendships, relationships, opportunities. And some of that has to come with a measure of expectation.
Right.
So if it's a limitless expectation, if I connect with somebody for the first time, I don't know what's going to come from this. I'm just going to be authentic and see what happens next. So there is no fear of losing because there's nothing to lose. Yeah.
Right. I agree with that. I like that. That's why when I meet people I've never met, and I just try to be wholeheartedly myself.
There you go.
And with respect, of course, but I've tried to live my life that way, and I think it's played out how it's going to play out.
Right.
At the end of the day.
Right.
So currently, you're just a man on a stage with a guitar. Is that right?
Man, I'm a lot of things.
But I mean, as far as your music goes, and you're transitioning, if I'm not mistaken, from having a anything other than a music career. You're still kind of doing some of those things, but you're transitioning into doing music solely full time. Is that correct?
That's correct. I still do other things when the opportunity arises.
Yes, that's what I was trying to say.
Try not to turn anything down if I can, but it's hard to.
You got to support yourself.
It's hard to walk two paths.
Yes.
100% on either one. So, and if you're only 80% over here, you're losing that other 20. So it just steals away from what you can build for yourself fully, I would say, so I still work when I can, when it doesn't get in the way of the music. It's kind of crazy. It's I definitely sacrifice financially to chase this dream I've been chasing, which it doesn't feel so much like a dream anymore. It feels more like a plan. So
a vision.
Yes.
Like that.
And
a purpose.
Occasionally I gotta hold the vision over here for a minute and go over here and, swing a hammer or run a shovel or whatever I need to do, drive a truck. I do a bunch of different things, but,
well, you never know for what one of those opportunities may put you in the path of someone who's going to support this career in a way that you didn't expect. You just never know
exactly
what's meant to be when it's meant to be.
We never know anything. We wake up in the morning and we step out the door and we don't know where we're going to end up at the end of the day. Hopefully we end up back home safe, but we never know. And, that's just like when I met you. I had an opportunity. I had no job. I had a truck note. I would think I was 18 years old. I had a $600 truck note, no job, paying in full coverage insurance on my first run at something like that. And I was like, oh God, this is a shock. And my buddy called and said, hey, I can get you a job over here with my buddy Robert. And now look at us and look at all the good things that's happened between us and around us and all the laughs.
Oh man.
And tears.
The memories
we've shared.
Yes.
So we've got a lot of good ones and never would have happened had it not, had to happen. Again, right. For me at least, and for you.
Or if you'd have been living in fear and just refused to embrace life and keep going. So tell me about this shirt.
Oh, this was the first design for the music. And it's actually a buddy of mine from high school in Lumberton, James Hawkins, drew this up for me. And since then, we've discontinued this one. So there's only
limited edition.
Yeah, there's like 80 of these out right now.
It's going to be worth a lot, ladies and gentlemen.
We sold them all. And we're not making any more of this particular one.
Hang on to it. That's it.
But I felt like it wasn't exactly what I'd asked for when I asked him to draw it, but it turned into something beautiful. I said I kind of wanted these colors. I said I really wanted a Bayou Cypress scene kind of flowing into a West Texas scene, but we ended up getting this, which is fine. but I think it kind of portrays a way I feel. You know, I love our heritage and our landscape, or I guess, you know, how would you say it, our nature to Texas, you know.
Oh yeah.
How one side of it's just beautifully green and
we got
moist.
we got every climate you could ask for. Yeah.
Then you go out to West Texas and it's just barren, and you wonder how anything survives. And I think that's just kind of a testament to Texans, you know, that we are hardy folk, you know, and we can make it in the worst climates and the best climates.
Yeah,
so we're
a fifth of our borders is the ocean.
Exactly.
So if you're into that, I mean, you're not that far away. For example,
it's what's been so great to grow up here, man, is having the salt, having the clean water, having the deserty area, having the
everything,
the big thicket, you know, and kind of what I was trying to portray through this. And I've got some new ones about to come out. I should have brought you some stuff today. I'm sorry, I left it at the house. I had some stickers and stuff for y'all, but we'll have new shirts, hats, and koozies and all that coming out. I actually just met with a guy Friday in Houston to put our
merchandise.
Yeah, to put our plan together, how we're going to do it. I've used local companies to do this, and they've done me well. But when it comes down to bulk orders, and I needed to cut the cost down enough to make it profitable for me myself, so we found a good company out of Houston that I think actually a lot of the bigger name people use. Like
Houston's still relatively local,
right? Of course.
It's not like you went, you know, out the country.
Yeah, I didn't go to California or something to go get my stickers.
That strange country over there.
Strange land.
So, how can the fans help you? How can they support you? And well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, go ahead and answer that. How can they help you?
By following, liking, sharing, showing up to the venues, because not only you're supporting me, you're supporting your local restaurants and stuff. And if we want to have cool places to go enjoy live music work, because some of these places do it every night.
Yeah.
And the only way they can keep doing that is if people keep coming. And I think not only supporting me doesn't just support me, it supports people like me, and it supports people who aspire to do what I'm doing, which is, there's a lot of people out here who are musicians who are trying to grow. And I think the best way to support any one of them is to support one of them at all. So, and that would include coming to a show, buying merchandise, throwing a tip in the jar. You know, that makes people feel like they're doing the right thing. Not so much because I want your money. It's almost like respect at that point, whether it's $1. I mean, I have kids come up there and throw pennies and stuff in my case, and it's just it's an emotional gratitude in a sense. So I would say the best way to help somebody like me or others trying to do what I'm doing is to show up, to share everything, even if you don't want to, just do it. Just share, like.
Doesn't cost you anything to share.
It doesn't. It doesn't cost anything to get on there and say, hey, we like this guy, share it. And that's what's helped me a lot. And I've had a lot of help in this community in Beaumont, Southeast Texas, with sharing my stuff and showing up to the shows. I mean, that's been a big driving factor for me, because if that never would have happened, I mean, would I continue if I didn't feel like people supported me? So that's the main thing. Show up, show out, and not just for me, but for everybody, you know. So to answer your question.
No, very good.
Yeah, I think
very
that's
good.
part of it. I mean, like being in our industry, you know, because the phone rings, we keep doing it.
Right.
You know? I mean, we definitely need, you know, someone to solicit our talent, if you will. And so if your phone keeps ringing and your schedule it's chipping away into the future, well, then this is the place to be, you know. And I like the fact that you still have multiple interests. I mean, I know some of it you call work, but I think even if you are at some level of, and you mentioned like Jason Aldean, you know, where he's got stadiums and all that, I'm sure he'd love to go home and just drive the truck and go do some work every now and then and just get away from all of that. And I don't doubt you'll ever get away from that. Be like, no, sometimes I just want to get on the four-wheeler or get on the side-by. And
I think if anything, I want to do it more. You know, like you're saying, you know, so.
We just talked to another artist on an interview last week. His name's Meezus, and he's a country rapper, and he's relatively, you know, he's doing pretty well, pretty successful in his career. And he mentioned on the interview about how he wants to just go show up at a construction site and go swing a hammer,
For free.
just get, he's like, just give me a hammer, man. Don't pay me anything. Just let me go nail something or hit something.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
Yeah. Take me back.
it sounds like it's a pretty common theme.
I still do, man.
It's a form of release too.
Yeah.
The past 2 weeks, actually, I spent working in a refinery and playing shows at night. So I kind of burned the candles at both ends the past 2 weeks, but they needed me, and they supplement me well for my time. And that's 15 years of experience I've gained to be welcomed in, and taken care of the right way. So I would work 16-hour shift, go home, or rather, like 2 weeks ago, just to break it down to you, 2 weeks ago on a Wednesday, I played till 1 a.m, went home, took a nap, woke up at 5, drove to work, worked 16 hours, went home, got a little bit of a nap in, back at work the next morning, work another 16 hours, and then get a nap right after, head to a gig right down the road, which
So,
I don't like
ladies
to
and
do that
gentlemen,
often.
if
but-
y'all see him on stage and he looks drunk, he's not. He's probably just tired.
He could use a nap.
Throw $1 at him and see if he comes alive.
That's the best way. Hey, you make it a 20, I'll really come alive.
Throw a 20 in the machine and see what happens
Yeah.
next. Yeah.
It's a fun machine. Those are fun tickets.
Those are fun
That's
tickets.
awesome.
That's right. You won't be disappointed. That is a shift right there, man.
Hey, I'm blessed, man. I'm blessed to be able to do that and have multiple ways to bring an income in, because just playing music the way I do now at this stage. Luckily, I mean, I can play 4 or 5 nights a week, but that's harder than working 16 hours a day. I'll be honest with you. If I spend 1 week and I play 4 nights a week, I'm drained at the end of the week.
Oh, absolutely.
But if I go work 5 days in a row,
Right.
12, 16 hours, I might be a little physically sore, but I'm not near as tired as I am after playing
Right.
12 hours of music, which doesn't sound right. It sounds like it would be harder to work a long shift, but
Right.
it is not. It is very taxing. Maybe the way I do it, because I put a lot of myself into my music. So
I've heard other artists talk like that.
Yeah.
It seems counterintuitive to a lot of people. They're like, "Oh, bless your heart. You work so hard." Yeah. But no, you put your whole self into it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people in their job, their chosen vocation or profession, your brain, your heart is potentially somewhere else while you're doing whatever your body is doing. So when you're done, you're tired, but you're not mentally exhausted, spiritually exhausted. You're not drained the same way as you are when what you're doing is who you are. You know what I'm saying? Like you put your entire identity into that. So it makes sense to me that when you give your all, you're tired.
I can see that.
Giving your all the time takes a toll on your vocal cords too. That's another thing. If you're a vocalist, someone like me, I try to sing every note and every song. I try to sing perfect, and after you do that one whole week, you got a 4-hour show one night, 3-hour show the next, and you pair that with talking to people and then also trying to live a private life, also having your life going on. You got to talk to your spouse, you got to talk to your family, or if you're working, you have to talk all day. And that it's really takes a toll on, dude, just like this. So for instance, tomorrow, I probably won't, or the rest of the day and tomorrow, I probably won't talk very much just to allow my vocal cords.
I bet your mom's sitting back like, "What's that like? Him not talking? That's crazy."
Man, it's been a weird thing, because when I first started, I could sing 4 or 5 hours a night, wake up the next day, do it all over again, not a problem, sound exactly the same, or at least I thought. And that's another thing.
What you sound like or what you think you sound like.
Your definition changes over time when you learn. Like, oh, I've been doing that. Wow, I thought that was good, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do it a little different. But I started having problems pretty bad. I had acid reflux, and it messed my vocal cords up. And I started sounding, my voice is a little deeper than it used to be, which that's, it's wearing in. I'm getting older, so I'm using it more. So it's stronger, but it's changed it in a way to where I'm more conscious of taking care of my voice. So that's another thing a lot of people don't realize. Like when you're somebody like me playing 4 nights a week, it's a lot of time spent into taking care of my body.
Right.
Because that's the main thing, energy wise. Music has brought me into a whole another way of thinking about myself, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. I've gotten on a diet through this and been a lot more healthy. I've kind of cut back on certain things, foods, alcohol, stuff like that. I used to smoke cigarettes when I started singing music. Quit that. I can't remember the last time I had a cigarette. I used to smoke them all the time working, you know. It was like I grew up in a household where smoking was almost respected. Like the rite of passage or something, you know. My grandpa smoked in the house. He smoked, both of them smoked in the car with the windows up, you know, like, so it was only natural that I picked one up out of high school. And I'm glad I found music because I quit all that. Quit drinking as much. I'm not saying I don't still drink, you know.
Right.
I enjoy me a beverage, especially when I'm playing. It kind of loosens you up a little bit, but I've actually found moderation in a lot of things in my life through music.
Far more enjoyable that way.
No, it is.
Yeah.
It's insane.
So we've talked a lot about transitions and you coming into different phases of your life. I'm curious now about your actual music life right now. What's going on? Like you talked about how now you're at 100 songs, maybe more, and you're moving into a different area. I think from what you told me privately, you've traveled. You've now gone to Kima. I mean, you went to Henderson. Now you went the other way. You've gone to Kima to do some shows.
Yeah.
Are there any growth occurrences happening in your music life right now?
Definitely. For Kima, for one, you know, I've gotten booked down there a lot now, and I've got in with a couple owners of some establishments down there, and they're bringing me back repetitively. And I'll be playing at the Rustic downtown Houston.
Oh, wow.
For Halloween, on Halloween night. That's kind of cool. I actually got hooked up through another guy. He got me in there. He'll be there with me. I've got some leads now and people actively on the ground helping me. If I had time, I would already be there, but my schedule's so booked, I haven't been able to break away to go up to Fort Worth. I've got some help up there. They're wanting to bring me in around there and start playing, and to meet some pretty well-known people up there. My name's starting to get passed around with people I never thought it would, which sounds kind of, I'm not self-glorifying. I'm just stating facts here. My name is getting passed around to people I never thought it would, you know, and people directly show, hey, look at this guy, check out what he's doing. And I mean, that'd be some big names like Co Wetzel, Cody Johnson, Wade Bowen, people like that, Roger Krager. So my new songs that are coming out, Roger Krager's drummer and bassist are actually on the tracks. So that's kind of cool. So I think it's inevitable at this point. It's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy. The more and harder I work, the more time I put in, the more training I subjugate myself to and try to hold myself to more rigorous standards. It's just happening without me even making it happen, if that makes sense.
You are making it happen. You're living out what we call a compound effect. There's a guy named James Clear who wrote a book about it. And all it means is these little changes, these little added line upon line, activity upon activity, habit upon habit, improvement upon improvement, the little improvements about your voice, the little improvements about your diet, the little improvements about the habits of your day, all those things add up. And eventually, what people don't see was the 3 years or whatever, 4 years of little bitty changed behaviors. And then all of a sudden, it looks like everything just blew up, but it didn't. It was the little things adding up constantly. And finally, the result showed itself. Right. So are there any, are you going to stay playing the one man on stage with the guitar?
Oh, no. I'm glad you asked that. I actually have our first band practice this week.
Band practice?
Yeah.
So you've got a band
rehearsal.
Rehearsal?
Yeah. I don't fully, I mean, I have the capability and I have the right people in my corner and friends of mine who enjoy playing together that we will, it's just a matter of getting us together and making it happen. And I've dedicated this Wednesday to our first time to get together. And it's with all local musicians who, some of them well known. I'm sure you know who the Kaiser brothers are. David Lee Kaiser. He's going to be on the drums, and got a couple different choices on bass and stuff. I mean, there's several people who want to play. So right now, like I say, this is starting now.
That's awesome.
To build a band and solely to get into those different places you can't get in unless you have one. You know, a lot of I'm sure you know this, but you go to one place and you're like, hey, I have a band, or I'm a solo act. Well, do you have a band? No, I don't. Okay, we'll hire you. Hey, I'm a solo act. Do you have a band? Yes, I have a band. Okay, we'll take the band. You see, they're always going to take the band over the solo act mostly. And I think that'll open some doors and also help me become a better musician, you know?
Well, it'll also build you a group of minds that are focused on the same goal together, all working together. Man, the power is exponential when you combine 3 or 4 guys.
Exactly.
And you're all headed in the same direction. You become a force. Like you really can build, you can build momentum in a way that a guy by himself, it's almost impossible to build the same kind of momentum, the same speed as a group like that.
Right.
So then, and you all benefit the same way, you know, so everybody's on the same, man, that's beautiful. I think that's,
it's happening. I think it's just, repetition, not giving up, being very accepting of others, you know, because when you put 4 or 5 people together in a group and, you know, we all have a different idea of what something should be, it's good to be able to accept not only criticism, but praise. You need to be able to accept.
And creative input at all.
Exactly.
All of it. Like, man, there's no telling what kind of awesome ideas are going to come with this. That's fascinating.
I'm pumped, man. And I've had a lot of help and recently acquired even more, you know, Al DeSico being one who's kind of coming into my corner now and wanting to help. We're talking every day now.
That's awesome.
So just if anybody takes anything away from what I have to say about it, I'm just thankful and blessed in it, because I know at any moment it could all stop. I could be singing a show and all of a sudden I could blow a note. I could have a note or blow something out on my vocal cord or get in a car crash and break my hands or something, you know, anything could happen to me. And so I know that at any moment this could be over and I could have to seek another way to support myself. So if anybody takes anything away from me, I would say to be thankful for any level of joy you get out of something like this, because it's very joyous to me and I'm just blessed and honestly so thankful that I get to do this. So, because I know it could be gone instantly.
Yeah.
So
that's perfect.
Well, we're drawing to a close. It's been a pleasure. I've got 2 more questions I'm going to ask you. I'm going to let Chuck, you got anything you want to ask him?
Well, it's really more of a thank you, because I think just through hearing your story, kind of the journey as it's all gone, a lot of folks heard, and I think your last comments really put a cap on that. And that if we just keep staying with the growth mode, it's amazing how things can happen. I remember watching a documentary on the band Kansas. You know, they just kept going and going and going. Right when they were recording Leftoverture, which is Dust in the Wind and all those, they showed up almost dry, except the guitarist, Terry Lindquist. And he had all these ideas. He's like, I don't know where they're coming from. It's like, it's one of those moments that he just, all that energy, they were a group. They never deviated.
Yeah.
They were the same guys the entire time. But when they showed up, all that energy, that psycho-spiritual energy just worked. So I'm very proud to hear that you're now connecting yourself with these, these seasoned, dedicated people, you know, who want to see if we can take it to another level. Mm-hmm. And no doubts that you will. So very inspirational. Thank you for that.
Yes, sir.
So the 2 questions I'm going to ask you these are standard questions that I ask every guest on our show. Okay. Number 1, if you had a message for a young person who's aspiring or to be a musician, What advice would you give them?
Don't think you can't do it, first of all. And if you got a dream, go out there and give it all you got. You know, when I started this, I had a $300 guitar, which I still play every night.
That's awesome.
And that's another thing. You don't have to have super expensive tools.
That's right.
You can have some good ones. And started out with nothing, man. I went into debt and bought a bunch of sound equipment, and I was scared that, oh my God, how am I going to pay for this? Am I good enough? Are people going to like me? Every fear that I have is the same that every other musician's had. It's all this. Everybody's scared of the same thing. They want to be accepted.
Yeah.
And don't be scared if you get up there and you're not accepted, because somebody somewhere is going to accept you. Somebody somewhere, you have your crowds that like you and you have your ones that don't. You know, I play some places, it falls on deaf ears. I play in some places, the whole place is in uproar. So if I give any advice to a young person, is to not give up, and you can be what you want to be. I'm not saying you're going to be a Morgan Wallen or nothing like that. I just mean, don't let the fear stop you from pursuing something that you want to do. So
that's beautiful. I love it.
Me too.
I agree with it wholeheartedly. Mm-hmm. So the second question is, this is always the closer. Okay. So if you could go back in time and give yourself a message, let's go back to the days when you were riding four-wheelers, or before that, even the steers, when you were on the farm and, you know, probably stealing cigarettes out of Dad's pack of cigarettes.
It was snuff.
Whatever it was. If you could give yourself a message, your younger you, all you could do is give a message to yourself back then, what would it be?
If I could give myself a message, then it would be not to worry what other people thought so much.
I love it. I thought you were going to say, don't meet Robert Martin. Stay away from that.
No, I learned a lot.
No, man,
we learned a lot together.
I love that message.
We learned a lot from each other.
Yeah, so, I agree with you. But yeah.
That's the truth, man. And spent a lot of time anxious as a young man. I mean, a lot of that ties into, I mean, each person's different. You know, I was always real small. I was always real small in middle school and high school. Shortest guy. Shortest guy in school, you know, like youngest in my family. So I always kind of had these tendencies to, or choices, always chose. Tendency is just a choice. But I always chose, once you know it's a tendency, I guess. But I always chose to be anxious and feel like I didn't belong. And if I could tell myself one thing then, it would be like, hey, stop worrying what other people think, be yourself, and don't apologize for it.
That's awesome, man.
It is.
That's awesome. Well, I'm going to tell you, I appreciate you coming on our show, and I want you to hear, I believe in you. Mm-hmm. I believe in you with my whole heart, and I'm proud of you, Ethan. You're going to do big stuff. I look forward to seeing what you become. And every chance I get, you'll hear me clapping for you.
Yeah, that's right. Me too.
Yeah. This is an interview that's been coming for a while. You may not know this, but he's been bringing this up for a while. We got to get Ethan. We got to get Ethan. And finally, I guess he just pressed and said,
we got the perfect time, and it worked out perfectly.
There you go.
So, and I'm glad we got to sit down and do this together. Yes. I feel like, if anything, I've gained something from this too. Maybe even more of an understanding of myself. Just hearing myself talk like this, because I mean, you don't really, who sits around and talks about this kind of stuff out loud? Right. You know, I don't just sit down with buddies and have these kind of conversations. So it's I guess hearing what I have to say is like, wow, sometimes I didn't even know I had that to say. So it's nice. I didn't even know I was thinking that until you asked me. So it's nice to kind of understand myself better through this.
So that validates what we're trying to achieve. Thank you, man.
Cool.
Thank you.
Cool. Yeah,
pretty cool.
Well, everybody out there, thank y'all for joining us. And if you find this episode and you watch this episode, you're going to shortchange yourself if you don't go find Ethan Osborne's music. You can find it on Spotify, iTunes, wherever you stream your music. Go download Ethan's music and get to know him here on this episode, but definitely go get to know his music. And again, I'm Robbie,
I'm Chuck.
and we've had with us
Ethan. Thank you.
Ethan Osborne. Thank y'all very much. Y'all have a great day.